Good morning. Let me thank you, first of all, for the invitation. I have to reassure you from the beginning that I have prepared a speech, but after the speech of the President, I have to improvise. So I will try and keep it short and avoid overlaps. I will focus, first of all, on the factual background, and I will focus also on the title that guides this short speech. The crisis in the Middle East is not, in my opinion, another chapter to a very long book of crisis. It's something different. We are witnessing a completely different situation, one that is much more dangerous, one that is full of changes in what we thought was the established threshold. We have, in effect, a paradigm shift. And let me explain. 2 years ago, if we had a discussion, it would say that we would have direct attacks by Iran against Israel and vice versa. That would have been unthinkable. But this is now something that we are all witnessing. After October 7th, we have a situation that is extremely dangerous. The terrorist attacks by Hamas have created a chain of events. We have the situation in Gaza. We have the situation in the Red Sea, which is threatening the freedom of navigation in the maritime sector. We have the escalation now in Lebanon. We have the situation, as I already mentioned, in Iran. We have the West Bank. There is a series of crises that are interconnected and multidimensional. And that is so important that it overshadows, in part, what is happening in other parts of the world. Reference can be made to Ukraine. Reference can be made to Africa, to Sudan, a crisis that we are overlooking, a humanitarian disaster affecting there in Sudan more than 50 million people. So things are completely different this time around. And we are trying at the same time, as the international community, to resolve the crisis, to put an end to the danger, but also prepare for the day after. And this looks like mission impossible. Of course, our commitment for the day after remains that for a two-state solution. This is something that for Cyprus is a very clear position. We have recognized Palestine since 1988. But at the same time, this discussion about the day after, I often find it to resemble a theological paradox. We are asking people first to die and then to go to heaven. What we have to do is we have to find a way to stop the war now. I'm not going to focus on the bundle of guiding principles for the Republic of Cyprus as regards the need for a ceasefire, the release of the hostages, de-escalation, the tragic humanitarian situation on the ground. I would rather focus or give some perspective from recent visits in the region. I'm also going back to Israel and Palestine in the next few days, hopefully. And there are some conclusions, some outtakes from these contacts, which admittedly, they are antithetical. And this is, after all, the Middle East. This is normal, in a way. A lot is happening. A lot is happening in terms of negotiations, of discussions. A lot is happening that creates a glimpse of hope. As regards Lebanon, first of all, there is a growing reaction towards a weakened Hezbollah that is still the most powerful entity in the country. A quarter of the population is displaced, and we are all looking at the more solid institution in Lebanon, which is the Lebanese armed forces, and supporting them is part of the solution. As I already said, and we have seen it in the news as well, last couple of days, there is considerable progress in the negotiations that are taking place. We've managed, as international community, to decouple the ceasefire in Lebanon from the situation in Gaza. But we managed also to couple it with the possible election of a president in Lebanon. This, for some, is an opportunity. For others, it's being used by Hezbollah as leverage. So another antithesis. But let's not forget, the situation in Lebanon is very different to the situation in Gaza. There is a body of work, a benchmark, UN Security Council Resolution 1701, and this is providing a very useful springboard for reaching, hopefully, a positive outcome. Very briefly, on the situation in Israel. The international community tends to personify what's happening in Israel. We are underestimating the public opinion, though. There is a lot of anger, there is a lot of pain, and there is confidence. And this is a very dangerous mix. The operations will not stop, but we are close to their end, even without that meaning withdrawal. I'm not commenting whether that's right or wrong. We should be turning our attention to the West Bank, because that could be the breaking point for the region. So, what can we do about this situation? First of all, the European Union. We have failed. We are, in my opinion, becoming irrelevant in these discussions. We are often being portrayed as being fragmented, as having a cacophony of opinions throughout the system of Brussels, and we are becoming, to a large extent, observers of developments. All this on top of the recent results in the United States, there is concern what the approach of the new administration would be. So what's the answer? The answer is dialogue. We need to engage much more with the United States, much more closely with the United States and with the region. The European Union has an obligation to play the role that geostrategically is obliged to take. And let me give you an example. In the almost 20 months I'm participating in Foreign Affairs Council in Brussels, there was only once participation of the American Secretary of State through VTC. So this is not the example of best engagement. There is a lot that we could be doing. There is need for collaboration. There is need for more meaningful engagement. The region is in crisis, but this is not the first time. And we tend to describe our region as a region in turbulence that is perpetually in a state of crisis. We tend, though, to overlook a very simple truth, a very simple fact. There is no other region in the world that could remain viable and alive, facing all these challenges for all these decades. This is not just a region in turmoil. This is a region of survivors. This is a region of resilience. Thank you.
Thank you.